Hello, I want to start today by thanking the conference organizers for creating this opportunity to share a presentation about a new teaching innovation despite the necessity of canceling the in-person LWI conference due to COVID-19. I'm Rebekah Hanley. I teach at the University of Oregon School of Law, but the focus of this presentation is really not me at all, but rather the amazing University of Oregon law students with whom I have the great pleasure of working. While I wish I could have jumped on a plane to DC to be with everyone in person, I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to use technology to share my ideas in a way that colleagues can access them across both time and distance. As a bonus, I'm using this as a chance to practice creating a doodly video, a tool I plan to use this fall to give students a break from talking heads and PowerPoints. Here we go. The plan for this presentation is as follows. First, I'll explain the impetus for the innovation I'll describe, then I'll tell you about the concept. Then I will tell you how I incorporated it into my 1L LRW class last year. I'll talk about some of the complications that arose, and finally, I'll share what comes next. In terms of inspiration, part of the backdrop for this project is the literature and also my personal experience confirming that active engagement by students boosts their learning. Consistent with that idea, I am often looking for ways to take the focus off myself, to move away from the traditional professor model, the sage on a stage, and move towards something like a coach on the sideline, directing, correcting, encouraging, or even a more experienced teammate, a mentor who models effective strategies while including more junior peers, someone on the field with students who passes the baton or the ball to them frequently. In addition, I attended a workshop about a year ago encouraging faculty from all disciplines at the University of Oregon to consider the relatively high price of traditional textbooks, the ways in which the cumulative cost of those books negatively affects access to higher education, and the fact that an alternative is out there, that there are authors who have made their quality texts available for free online access by creating open educational resources rather than publishing copyright-protected print or online materials through traditional publishers that charge students high prices for those texts. While there are many excellent texts on grammar and punctuation that are designed for law students to read, to consume, or even to actively work through via diagnostic tests and practice exercises, and many of those texts are fairly priced, I wondered if I could harness a pedagogical opportunity and simultaneously respond to concerns about access and student debt. I wondered if I might help students lower their total book bill and also improve their learning by taking advantage of an online educational resource for free. I wondered if I might invite my students to take on an even more active role, get them to critique and improve upon a text instead of merely consuming it, to help generate a tool informed by their own learning that would help other students who came after them in my class. So my idea in effect was to make students co-authors instead of mere consumers of their grammar and punctuation text. In terms of implementation, I just went for it. I found a generic, meaning not law-focused, grammar and punctuation text for college students in the online educational resource library. It was well reviewed. I made sure that the Creative Commons licensing of it permitted not only my students to review it, but also allowed us to remix that material. And I pointed students to a web address instead of to the bookstore for access to a resource to answer their grammar and punctuation questions. Throughout the fall, students referred to the text, and towards the end of the fall term, I asked them to, in pairs, modify the text, to add law-specific examples of various rules, helping to check their mastery, but also to create a version of this online educational resource that would feel particularly relevant to law students. Then in the spring, I merged those pairs into small groups. I had them critique each other's examples and draft short sections of prose to help make the text flow, right, and to further tailor the text for the now familiar needs of 1L legal writing students. So how did it go? I would say that the experiment was certainly worthwhile, but also not without challenge. I squeezed additional work into an already packed syllabus. I pushed students to take on tasks that were a bit outside their comfort zone and required judgment that they had not all yet developed. I created a lot of synthesis work for myself in the pair format because I had so many documents to try to fuse into a single work product. Of course, the COVID-19 interruption and associated challenges to continuity and collaboration introduced special challenges this past year. And then finally, my own perfectionism interfered with my ability to publish a remixed work with my student's name on it, as I had indicated we would do, because I, at the end of the year, was not yet confident that it was where it needed to be. So what's next? At one point, I thought that what would be next would be that my students this year would have access to last year's students' outstanding, polished, finished, tailored, free grammar and punctuation guide. Instead, I am planning to duplicate last year's experiment this coming year, stretching the timeline to ultimate publication of this remixed online educational resource for one more year, with next summer as the target date for publication. I'm excited to work with students one more time on this project this coming year, and to take one more step up this staircase towards producing a polished product that we can publish online at the end of the year. I'd be happy to take any questions via email at rhanley@uoregon.edu.